Remote workers tend to be very engaged people who are prepared to work harder and longer than those in corporate settings in exchange for the benefits remote working gives them. But you can't just set up a team and assume all will be well. Team members are human beings, and this means that each one is motivated by something different. Take time to get to know people at a human level. Not knowing your team members can lead to a lack of trust, which can lead to poor communication. For example, team members may not feel comfortable speaking up when there are problems. They may not ask for help, or they may feel isolated and demotivated. A team like this cannot function effectively. Module 3. Motivate team members. Learning objective. Decide how you will get to know your team members better and keep them motivated. Ways to motivate your remote workers. Keeping team members engaged and interested in the work they do for you means finding ways to motivate them. Different people are motivated by different things, and money isn't always a prime motivator. But you can't know what they're motivated by unless you take the time to find out. There are 4 key methods for achieving motivation: communicating regularly, delegating and training, giving recognition, managing performance issues. Let's look at each of these in detail. Communicating regularly. Now you have your project management tool in place, you'll be able to keep track of tasks, deadlines, and goals and share that information with your team. When everyone knows what's going on, they will feel secure and supported and be better able to concentrate on their tasks. But communication goes beyond sharing a project calendar or an individual task. Even though you are managing remotely, you still have a role as a virtual coach to help team members with their performance and sometimes just to listen. The best leaders engage their team members with frequent and authentic coaching conversations. They encourage two-way dialogue that invites people to offer input, insights, and opinions. Virtual coaching requires the same skills as face-to-face coaching. Here's a recap on the key coaching skills: active listening, questioning, empathy, giving feedback. Let's look at those in detail as they apply to virtual coaching. Active listening. There is little difference between coaching face-to-face and coaching remotely. But given that you aren't physically in the same room as your team member, your listening needs to be even more acute to pick up the nuances of the conversation. Ideally, you'll be coaching by video connection, so you will see the person. But if the video drops, or if you can only contact the person by telephone, then your attention must be 100% focused on them. You won't have any visual clues to tell you what's going on with them, so you may need to ask or at least clarify if you're unsure about anything they're saying. You may well find that they will reveal more or go into more depth than usual. This happens when a person doesn't have visual distractions, and it can make your coaching even more powerful. Questioning. Using open questions to help a person explain or expand on an issue plays the same role in virtual coaching as it does in face-to-face. However, make sure your questioning goes beyond the standard "how's it going?" Dig for real information by asking direct questions, including what's getting in your way? What roadblocks are you facing right now? What's stopping you? What's holding you back? And what's frustrating you? These questions will reveal exactly what's happening so that together you can work out solutions. Empathy. Empathy means putting yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to see the world from their point of view. This is especially important when you manage a remote team who may be living in very different circumstances from your own. The more you get to know your team members, the more you'll understand what each person needs. Respect their culture and traditions. For example, a team member may have a specific need for time off for a religious holiday or to look after elderly parents if that is culturally important to them. Most remote workers don't allow personal issues to impede their work, but this is sometimes inevitable. Keep your ears open for signs of stress, anxiety, or uncharacteristic behavior. If a chatty team member suddenly stops communicating with you, or a very methodical person starts making unexpected errors, this could be a sign that there's an issue. Don't let this type of situation go on. It can affect the rest of the team as well as the person concerned. Arrange to speak to them and discuss what's going on. Giving feedback. Team members need to know that what they're doing is in line with what you expect. And this is especially true of remote workers who aren't able to stop you in the corridor to ask for a catch-up. Sometimes the only feedback people get is when they've done something wrong. Don't ignore the importance of giving positive feedback. There are 4 key aspects to giving positive feedback. Make the feedback meaningful so people can learn. Provide a clear picture of the specific performance so they know how to repeat it. Don't just say, "Great job on the report." Instead, say, "Hey Joe, I really appreciate how you got the report done ahead of schedule, and the extra data you provided will be very helpful to our customers." This gives Joe 2 specific, repeatable behaviors to replicate in the future. Give positive feedback the moment it happens if possible. This helps reinforce the message as the brain sees the link between the feedback and the desired behavior. Don't cloud the positive message with criticism. There's a place and a time for constructive criticism, but it isn't when you're delivering positive feedback. Get in the habit of giving regular feedback. This might be at your weekly one-on-one session or at the end of a particular project. It doesn't need to be lengthy, but it does need to be genuine. At the end of your coaching session, always set goals together about what you want them to achieve in the next time period. Plan your communication. Communication doesn't just happen on remote teams. You must make a conscious effort to put communication into action. In the last module, you set some overall goals for team communication and your availability. Now, it's time to get specific. Here are some ideas. Set clear communication expectations. These will depend on your answers from the previous module when you looked at your availability and systems. Tell your teams how you've decided they should communicate with you and when. Share your commitment with them, such as how regularly you check emails, how soon you'll give a response to a question, whether you work on weekends or not, and so on. Schedule weekly check-ins and meetings on camera. If you worked in the same building, you'd probably have a team meeting at the start of the week. Just because you're working remotely, this doesn't have to change. Of course, you need to take into account your team members' time zones when planning this. You could ask each member to give a brief progress report on their current task. Organize longer one-off meetings as needed, for example, to discuss the start of a new project or to announce a business change, or as a regular monthly review session. Ask specific questions to get everyone participating, such as, what one thing has been going on great lately? What one thing can be improved? What is one thing that's going on in your life right now? Make sure you answer these questions yourself. Plan regular one-on-one sessions with individual team members, especially if you're delegating a new task to them. 30 minutes is probably enough, but you might want to have a 60-minute session less frequently. This meeting can be to discuss progress, problems, and concerns. Post the schedule on your project management platform. Prepare well for meetings and coaching sessions to get the most out of precious time together.